Hey, what's up? It's Dominic D'Angelo of Studio One Sports.com, and I'm live with you guys and gals here to talk a little bit of pro wrestling news and some media news just in general. Uh, as you can see, Robert is not here today. He had a work engagement he had to handle, so I am flying solo by myself. And but not necessarily because you know what that means. When it's by myself, I do it with you guys in the chat. You guys help facilitate some of the conversation. So let's have a conversation by saying hi to some folks in the chat right now. Wanna Breeze says, hello, R&I. It's time to hear all about Dom's latest ex Twitter feud. Uh, Kinda. Not really. This is not pertaining to me actually today, what I want to talk about. In a roundabout way, it is, but yeah, I have some stuff I want to share regarding a lot of stuff. Willie Thornbrew asked the age-old question. So, what in fact is the latest rumor? Trey Owen says, "Happy Friday, R&I. SmackDown seems segment heavy tonight. I'm intrigued. We will talk about SmackDown, particularly one aspect that Rob and I talked about yesterday. That I might have been Nostradamus in. Uh, Lou Lou says, "Hi Dom, happy Friday. Hey Lou, what's up, brother? Good to have you in the house." We have Candy Star. She's always the constant after morning. Fantasy Booker T, I love it. We want Jack Cartwheel. He's awesome, by the way. Jack Cartwheel. Funny enough, my brother Marcus and I performed on the same card as Jack Cartwheel Las Vegas weekend, and let me tell you, he is amazing. He WWE has something really special with him, and they have to run with him once he gets cooking a little bit. Wrestling Old Ed says, "Happy Friday, everyone." Dom, are you about to go scorched earth? Not really. Not really. I have some good stuff I do want to share that could be a little polarizing depending on how you feel about some wrestling media personalities. Um, the Big Boss, 1983. Who hasn't Dom had a Twitter feud with? You know what? I've never really directly feuded with Jim Cornette. I feuded with Brian Last, and Brian Last sucks. Okay, he sucks. He is a leech. He is insecure. I mean, we all have our insecurities. Let me say that. We all have our insecurities, but this guy, yikes. There's a reason you don't see his face because if he showed it, he would nobody would like him. I don't like him anyways. He sucks. Brian Last, you suck. Kimmy Star. How about the rumor that TKO wanted the spooky guy's future endeavored? Oh, I didn't hear that rumor. That's an interesting one. I mean, Robert made a case saying that all the supernatural stuff, and you're going to ESPN, and you want to try to give a little bit of legitimacy to what you're doing, and if you're doing all this like supernatural, cryptic, crazy, kind of like out of pocket stuff, you might not necessarily coincide with what ESPN does. Now, that's debatable because I mean ESPN and how they've handled this is actually getting into the topic I want to get into. ESPN with who's aware of the Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini situation that's going on in the sports world. Biggest sports news story of the year so far, and for legitimate reasons. Wow, this really ties into everything I do want to talk about today. Well, guess what? ESPN has not covered it, barely touched it. And when they do, they drop it really late at night and they don't talk about it. If you're not aware, Mike Vrabel, head coach of the New England Patriots, my rival New England Patriots, being a New York Jets fan, great coach, was a really good player too for the New England Patriots. Photos surfaced to him and athletic reporter Diana Rossini. The Athletic is tied to the New York Times. Well, photos surfaced to them holding hands, sitting in a pool together, kind of holding one another. Well, that was the initial stuff. Both parties kind of tried to diffuse it, saying that's not accurate, blah, 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 all that kind of thing, but really flippant about it. Well, more stuff surfaced and more stuff surfaced. And there's been tweets, posts, things indicating that these two basically had a relationship with one another, a romantic relationship with one another. Mike Vrabel has been married for years. Dan Rossini has been married for like 6 years, I want to say. Has a couple kids. Her first kid, around the time her and Vrabel were allegedly fooling around, her first kid is named Mike. It's crazy. There's so much more that goes on with the story. I encourage people to look it up if you're not attuned to what's been going on, because number one, this is such a huge sports and journalism ethics story when it comes to things. So ESPN has not reported about it. There's a lot of big personalities that has not really covered it. And is that because other people know where the bodies are buried? What exactly is going on? Is it because it's very hard to kind of tell, like, what kind of ties, ESPN has with what, and who, W superstar Pat McAfee, well, not necessarily too much anymore. He covered it maybe a touch, but not a lot. So it's been a big debatable kind of topic that I've been really, really fascinated by over the past several weeks. And like, it speaks to the state of sports media. My one buddy in a group text happened to bring up political media, and I think that's a completely separate entity when it pertains to sports media. People that tune into sports and pro wrestling, very passionate about what's going on. Politics, there's that kind of separation. Now, people are passionate about politics, but there's a certain separation of like, what can we necessarily do about it? We can't, as citizens, it takes a group effort to make change and whatever. But when you have sports media, it's very tangible to us fans, and you can voice your opinion and you can say what you want about this stuff. And fans aren't letting this go. This Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel situation has blown way, way out of proportion. Not out of proportion, but like exploded on social media, and rightfully so. It's a big news story. It's a very, very big news story, and it's very surprising and disappointing that ESPN is not covering it to the level that it does when they have these stupid debates of who's better, LeBron James or Michael Jordan, or they've covered plenty of other controversial things when it comes to athletes and their relationships. And, but this one, they've steered cleared from. And so this brings me into pro wrestling. Somebody that's been getting a little bit of heat online, and it goes with the territory of what his job is Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful. You could also Meltzer's obviously the name you think of when it comes to pro wrestling journalism, okay? But Meltzer doesn't really report too much anymore. He still reports stuff, and stuff gets said, but he's not really he's not the forefront guy anymore. It's basically Sean Ross Sapp. People go to Fightful, check out Fightful Select, everything like that. Now, Sean Ross Sapp has his fans, and he has got his detractors. But what has happened as of recent is there's been from two separate companies, two separate stars have taken exception with what Sean has reported. So we'll start off with Anna Jay. So Sean, let me make sure I pull this up just to make sure I get this right. I don't want to just rattle things off and not be somewhat accurate in what I'm aggregating here. Typing it in. We're going to go through cage side seats here for this. Okay, earlier this week, Sapp addressed Anna Jay's current standing in AEW, given her contract is set to expire soon. Speaking on the Fightful Post Dynamite reaction show on YouTube, Sapp claimed he heard Jay was frustrated with her booking in AEW last year. He added that he may have gone as far as mentioning contacting WNX he added that she may have gone as far as to mention contacting WNXT boss Shawn Michaels about a potential spot. So this is what Sean had to say. I don't know if she has resigned or not. Months ago, I was told she wanted to be. I was told that she wanted to be in AEW in Blood and Guts, wasn't in Blood and Guts, and she extended some frustration to AEW. She's like, I wanted to be featured. And I heard that was also very clear that she had Shawn Michaels' number and would use it as needed. Anna Jay quickly shot down Sapp's report when a fan posted his remarks on X. I don't know where this information is coming from, she said, and you don't know what you're talking about. Please shut up, Jay wrote as she would see the fans on AEW Collision on Saturday. Okay, she tweeted that out. Jay, her real life boyfriend, is Jack Perry. He went live on Twitch to further address rumors surrounding her contracts. It's not a big deal. It's just a lot of stuff going on online that you guys have been seeing. A lot of it is not true, she said. Jay then stated firmly, the only thing out of everything that's been posted that's true is just my contract is coming up, but that's it. It's not a big deal. So then Jack Perry ended up saying, so in other words, Sean Ross Sapp, F you. And then she said, oh no, Jack, while covering part of her mouth. That's what you really meant to say, Jack said. And after he replied, no, Jack simply returned his attention to Sapp by saying, get a real job. So there we go. Then Sean ended up, let me make sure I pull this up to you, Sean Rass. Sapp. Yeah, Jay, I'm glad I came in prepared for this. Full disclosure, this is what Sean had to say. I've reached out to Anna Jay today to communicate this. The information came directly from her reps/agents at the time when the details of her deal came out last year. Literally all of it. They have said since that she is handling her new deal herself. If they misrepresented that info, sorry to relay that info. That's the complete story about how that emerged, every bit of it. So what I want to say about this is, yeah, Sean's doing his job. He's reporting. And, you know, the fact is kind of like this. Tony Khan also mentioned in an interview about wrestling media. And is it beneficial? Is it good for for the business overall? And I thought Tony had really true and poignant words about it all. Let me pull those up actually, because I thought this was, here we go. Boom. It's already in my history. I think overall there is more help than hurt. This is Tony Khan. I think there can be at times misinformation or even disinformation when people put incorrect things out in the world in wrestling for their own benefit. I find sometimes there's a lot of truth in these stories, and sometimes there's not. When you know things firsthand, that can definitely be interesting. I do think that's a net benefit and a lot of good that comes from it. There's so much wrestling in the world, and for me, this is where I learned a lot about international wrestling. We're talking about Japanese wrestling. I first read and learned about a lot of what's happening in Japan and Mexico. I'm a big fan of Lucha Libre. I learned a lot of it from the wrestling newsletters. So yeah, I absolutely think there are benefits. You can read about wrestlers, then go out and watch them, and they can be very influential on you. Like Hulk Hogan, right, Dave Meltzer? There are definitely positives and negatives, but I think the positives far outweigh the negatives when it comes to wrestling newsletters and wrestling media. So this is the quote I think I really thought he was good. Speaking further, Tony highlighted that journalistic standards in wrestling media are significantly lower when it comes to sourcing and verification of rumors. However, there are benefits that the promotions can gain from the coverage. He says there are different ethics in journalism, the sourcing and verification of rumors that has a much higher standard in something like football than it does in wrestling. The kind of sourcing you need to report what are essentially locker room rumors is very different. You don't see legitimate football writers reporting those kind of things. In wrestling, the journalistic standard is generally much lower when it comes to that sort of reporting. But there are benefits from the coverage you get, just like in any other sport, where you want top writers talking about what they see and giving their opinions. I don't always agree with football writers, and I don't always agree with wrestling writers, but I respect that people follow something year-round, especially wrestling, which truly never stops. If you follow sports closely, whether it's football or wrestling, it's a similar situation. There are always going to be some writers who set higher standards for their work and for their ethics. So what I want to say, Sean Ross Sapp won't say stuff or report things if it's substantiated enough for him to report it. There's a reason he's the top person in wrestling media by utilizing sources and going off of things. Now, I've said this time and time again on not just this show, but other things that I do, that yes, there is a significant difference between wrestling media and sports media. You have a lot of untrained, uneducated from the journalistic standpoint of pro wrestling, of of how to handle media and how to properly source information and substantiate things. People can just claim stuff. Like JD from New York is a content creator. Okay. So if you're going for him for news, you have to understand that you're getting an opinion, you're not getting a report. Same with plenty of other people. And I would even encourage people, no matter what you hear, you should always kind of try to cross check and make sure that's accurate. Something like ringside news is not good. All right. They sensationalize things. The editor is an idiot. And I was going to say his name, but what's even the point of that? But so like if you're seeing something like that, if you see a meme or like something pop up on your phone that is like a graphic, and you're just like, oh, is that news? Make sure it's on you to double check it. Now, like, you want to ultimately feel that what they're reporting is accurate, but for you to just take somebody's word or what you see on a Facebook post as news, you're not doing your due diligence. But I mean, like, yes, Sean Ross Sapp can be polarizing because he's the top person in the reporting world of things. And yeah, talent, stars, they're not going to like what he reports sometimes. It's just, but that's the name of the business. So much, like a lot earlier on, I did want to be a guy that reported news and like broke stories, and hey, yeah, like I have sources that can do this, and but ultimately, like, it's a tough position to put yourself in if you're willing to do that, and if you're willing to take the slings and arrows of detractors, whether your reports are accurate or not. And most times, if you take pride in your work, they should be accurate, and they will be accurate. But that doesn't mean the person you're reporting on is going to like it. And that's just the name of the game in sports, in wrestling, and everything. So, like, I have full confidence that Sean Ross Sapp did his due diligence in not just this Anna Jay report, but in what was reported about Zelina Vega, who also took exception to what Sean Ross Sapp had to say about her release, and she was not happy about it. I the thing with talent, whether you're athletes or stars, they doesn't mean that they're necessarily attuned to what works and what doesn't in journalism. Like, they're just going to be upset because it's affected them directly. And hey, I mean, it's understandable if you're just thinking from that perspective, right? And like, but think about what the other side of things, somebody that reports something, you're going to get hammered, yeah, from not just maybe the talent in specific, but from people online. People online will be quick to just jump on you and attack you about what's going on. So, people will feel their way about Sean Ross Sapp, and I will say, like, I'll make clear, like, me and him are friends, and I get along with him, and yeah, I think he does good work. So, I mean, but if I were to even just take that out of it and look at it from how things get reported and what media is supposed to do, he's doing his job, plain and simple. Uh, I feel bad for wrestlers that find themselves in tough situations. If I was Anna Jay, I'd certainly be frustrated with AEW and how she's been utilized, because I think she's a great talent, and I think that her and many others have been underutilized. I know from just being backstage at other wrestling events and seeing how some of the politics gets laid out, and how some talent also can get upset about things like that. It's understandable. All this is understandable, but that's the dance that we all play when it comes to this stuff. So that was like a big thing I kind of wanted to cover today. I know I'm like, geez, 20 minutes in. So let's take a look at some of your comments on here. Dave Meltzer seems to get a lot wrong these days. Um, I'd have to really dive into what Dave has said recently, but he seems to rattle things off on Twitter sometimes, and I'm like, I don't know, Dave, if that's how you should really handle it. And he'll just say stuff like just at the spur of his thought process. It seems like just when it comes to him, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Like he'll say that on his wrestling radio show, and sometimes like if you read the newsletters, I haven't read his newsletter in a while, but it's just like speed of thought gets put on to text or whatever, and it's just like holy smokes. So yeah, but Dave, I think did earlier report that WWE was using AI to write stories, and it seems like that might be something that they are actually doing. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And Dave, I think he understands the ethics of journalism, but I also think too, maybe how his thought process goes is he doesn't necessarily do everything. Like he gives so much information out and has so many thoughts about certain aspects of wrestling that he doesn't really dot the I's and cross the T's sometimes. That's just my perspective on seeing Dave on X and sometimes seeing what gets reported from the Observer and what I hear on the Wrestling Observer radio when I catch clips or whatever. Yes, Devin, Anna Jay is still with Jungle Jack. I actually met both of them in Pittsburgh. Jungle Jack was very nice. I like Jack Perry a lot. Wrestling Old Head follows up here. Says a big conglomerate like ESPN won't mention that stuff unless they want to protect another party, want to cut ties with one of the subjects. Yeah, but I mean, like, with ESPN, it's just like they've really damaged their reputation, and ESPN has not been the same since for years. It seems it's just like they lost their personality. They lost a lot of the people that really made that channel so fun to watch. And yeah, just them not reporting about sports. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Excuse me. I remember it was either Anna Jay or Ty Conte who posted thanks for everything, you guys, or something. Seemed like a goodbye message after they lost the tag titles in the tag tourney. Yeah, it's yeah, I mean that's the thing too. I mean wrestlers and just non-media people, and I mean I don't even know if that's the best way to put it, but wrestling and wrestlers and athletes, you give anybody a platform. If they're very emotional, they're gonna post what they want out there, and people will take it for what they take it for, not necessarily maybe what they've meant or anything like that. But who knows? Like there is a certain kind of dance and method to the madness sometimes when stuff gets posted. I feel bad for somebody like the Butcher, who I love the Butcher. He's like wanting to work more and wanting to get his name and out there, and like he's not been put on television. It's just very frustrating. So it's less. I understand the aspect of wrestlers being frustrated and things like that. And like, but yeah, it's part of the thing is that's the relationship between reporter and the athlete slash star. Okay, you're gonna run into conflict. It's just gonna happen. It's just the name of the game. And as a reporter, journalist, whatever it may be, you have to be willing to accept such things to go onto it, or else you hurt your credibility in the grand scheme of things. And you can misreport things sometimes, but you always should say what you said was inaccurate after the fact if you find out something different. I think what Sean did here with Anna Jay was he provided further clarity of how he handled it. If you go back and watch the clip of Sean talking about the Zelina Vega situation, I thought he laid that out very good and handled it very professionally. I think he was on with Kate, Kate from Fightful, and I thought he said some very sound things on that. Devin says, I want nothing to do with immature Jack. Cammy says, sounds like she's covering her butt for possibly contacting other companies too. Wrestling Old Head, Cammy Star, that's what it seems like. Yeah, her contract is still up for renewal. I mean, geez. if I ran a J, I mean, I'd want to go to WWE too. You know, things seem brighter on sometimes when you do that. Wrestling journalism has very few practice ethical journalism. There are a few, but they don't get much traction. Ross Sapp is at least transparent. That's right. I mean, feel how you want about and people do feel very strongly about John Ross Sapp, but I think that's something that you need to do is just be transparent as you possibly can with things. So thing is I know a whole lot of different things that I don't say on here. I get told things that is told in confidence to me from names and everything like that, and I choose not to report that stuff, and because I respect the relationship I have with a lot of those talents and things like that. And if I were to do something like that, I would make sure that it's okay with them that I report it or say something. But I mean, I choose not to really play that dance. So, kind of it. Uh, Wait, saying you heard it from an inside source isn't automatically a fact. That's correct. That is totally correct. Yeah, especially in wrestling, right? I mean, how many people get worked? Yeah, you hear it from an inside source, but you also should cross check that source. Rule of thumb typically is you should have at least two different sources to confirm a potential report. You can't just hear it from one person and then report it. Uh, Now, I've reported things directly from one person, um, but it's directly from the source, of where it's coming from a lot of the times. But yes, if you're hearing reports about somebody's upset, you shouldn't just take it from one person's word of mouth to say things. Oh, they're upset about this because they could have an agenda, right? So try to cross check them and get other sources. But yes, if you hear it from an inside source, it doesn't make it automatically a fact. That's 100% correct. Devin Dowling says someone got mad at Sean for announcing their release too. Can't remember who. Oh, yeah, that's Selena Vega. Yep. So we talked about that. Caspian says, I just had a great meal. Full rotisserie chicken, large side of mashed potatoes, and a large side of mac and cheese for $10. What a screaming deal. I love rotisserie chicken. Wrestling Old Ed says, Tony Khan, eat your cake. Anna J. Caspian says, I lost the last shred of respect for Dave after he chastised Tony Khan and others for donating to Dish Mantel when he was on his deathbed. I don't remember that. I kind of remember that, I think. But Tony, the great thing about Tony Khan, he generous to a T. That's what makes him really cool to be a part of wrestling. Is he loves it and he'll express his love by helping others out. I'm sure there's so much that goes unsaid that wrestlers that maybe aren't on television even that we get frustrated that aren't on television that he's helped out in so many ways. I don't want to name names or anything like that, just because I think he's helped a lot of people out, and uh, so even Nash, when stuff happened with Tristan, his son, passing away, Tony Khan put the word out about subscribing to Nash's channel. Click this channel, and he does a lot of good stuff. So, and even if somebody's had said some negative things about him, he'll still go to bat for him. Certainly. So I always got to give props to Tony Khan. I think he's great for wrestling. Another company in the mix, and people are quick to attack him because of they don't agree with his creative decisions or whatever. But listen, it's great we have AEW in the mix, even if we're frustrated by it. And yes, I'm frustrated by AEW a lot of the times. I'm frustrated by WWE a lot of the times. Still, it's at least pro wrestling is very special still. It's still prominent. I mean, Draylon says TK has a bunch of talented women that they don't use. Seems like that's the same 5 to 7 women. It's just frustrating. Overall, is how it gets handled. Oh, Allie's back at TNA. I did not know that. Kevin with the $2. Hey, I know this Kevin. That's right. Shout out to Kevin. I actually worked with him on the Jake Asman show. Dommy Dom, Graps Talk from the best. Thank you, man. Yeah, we have a good time doing social media work for Jake Asman. If you're a New York Jets fan, check it out. If you're not a New York Jets fan, check it out. His show is very Howard Stern esque. Just type in Jake Asman show on YouTube. And if you want to skip the Jets talk, just skip like a little bit ahead. He gets callers in there, and I'm not lying. It's like Howard Stern. It's entertaining stuff. So shout out to Kevin, who does great work doing video content. Shout out to Sean, who also does great graphic content too for the team as well. So, Pressing Old says, how difficult it must be for a journalist to vet sources to make sure it's accurate. Furthermore, should journalists know who the source's source is? So it's difficult to vet sources. I have not really dived into trying to report things as much. But yes, I mean, you have to make sure you're contacting, you have good people that are doing it. Because, yeah, like Wanna Breeze said, you can't just take one thing from an insider source and display it as fact. One source totally have an agenda. And, so you need to cross check and make sure that it is. It can be difficult. Like you have to form relationships and network and develop a level of trust in between you and who you're working with. And, a level of respect also comes from, and this is from the sports side of things, is like, say, if somebody does not want to report things, they might not respond back to you because simply they don't want to give you that information. So it can be very tough. Sometimes you just won't get answers from people, responses from people. And that's what made the dirt sheet so controversial back in the day, is because who's been feeding somebody information? Who's been feeding Meltzer information? Who's been feeding Wade Keller's information? So it's very difficult. And it's for the person reporting. You got to be willing to accept the slings and arrows. Journalists should not know who the source's source is. Because they are protecting some things. So if you get some information from a source that has the source that they're getting it from, that's when you should cross check. You should go, all right, I gotta make sure I get this substantiated somewhere else than this too. Because if you're just hearing it from one side of things, it's not necessarily fact. Okay. Trey Owens, just noticed Tom is wearing a 66 bandana, Batman bandana. That's right. Shout out Adam West and Clint Eastwood, who was supposed to be Two-Face. Do you think TK regrets losing Danhausen? I don't know how TK thinks about that, but I do think I would regret it because I think, look at how they're using Danhausen. I think they're maximizing his potential the way they're utilizing him. He's had like one or two matches, but look, he's all over the program. He's selling merch like crazy. So that's certainly what AEW should have been doing, and should have been doing with other stars too. 90s Howard Stern or current? 90s Howard Stern, Wanna Breeze. 90s Howard Stern. I don't even listen to current Howard Stern. My God. I didn't even really listen to 90s Howard Stern, but I remember catching some of the bits of the program on E back in like 1999. Wrestling Old Head says, I believe it was Conan that had a story about feeding crazy stuff to journalists to stir up controversy. I sort of remember hearing it on K100. I mean, absolutely, right? Like, that's why you got to be careful, especially in pro wrestling, because it's like a worked business. I mean, everything's at work, right? If you kind of take things in the grand scheme, everybody has an agenda, whether you're in pro wrestling or you're in the NFL or you name it. It's all over the place. Pro Wrestling Tees forgets the AEW is big. That's a great point, Camry. Wrestling Old Ed says, that's how I remember journalism, being very gray area and pulling sources from either side and formulating an opinion from that. Doesn't seem to happen as much these days. Yeah, I mean, it's fast and loose on social media, where everybody, quote unquote, could be a journalist and share some stuff. I mean, look at all the fake things that get pointed out from meme or parody accounts. People take it as like, hey, is that real? Like, yeah, I even have to like double check. I'm like, that can't be true. There's a lot of that goes on, not just in wrestling, sports in general. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think what goes on is ultimately a fascinating thing. But you got to be hard nosed in what you do, wrestling journalism. But you also want to be hard in the bedroom, right? Guys, if your lady or your fella or that person that sends you an eggplant emoji at 2 a.m. is ready for better sex, then you should be too. That's where Blue Chew comes in. They have been on a mission for years to get you bricked up, build your confidence, and help you actually perform in the bedroom. Their new arousal boosting formula, Blue Chew Gold, is helping millions of men have better sex in 2026. While most ED meds only focus on blood flow, Blue Chew Gold goes further by combining two ingredients for blood flow with two ingredients for mental arousal and connection. So you're not just physically ready, you're actually in the mood. This type of innovation is why Blue Chew Gold is the number one brand in erectile function. Don't let your mind get in the way of a good time. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. We've got a special deal for our listeners right now. When you buy 2 months of Blue Chew Gold, you get the first month third month for free with promo code Rumor. That's promo code Rumor. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. We thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. I also thank Mudwater this week for sponsoring the podcast as well. Mudwater is great if you want a coffee alternative that's healthy, mushroom based, and very natural ingredients. Uh, what's great about mud water too is all you need is hot water. Take the mud water scoop of it, throw it in your mug, fill that water up about halfway, and you get the frother that they give you for free. Stir it up in there, and you got yourself a good cup of Joe that's mud water based, and it's good stuff. So I'm a big fan of Mudwater. I just got their regular coffee brand, the coffee version, but they have other options that you can choose from. Are you ready to make the switch to cleaner energy? Head to mudwater.com and grab your starter kit today. Right now, our listeners get an exclusive deal up to 43% off your entire order, plus free shipping and a free rechargeable frother when you use code RUMOR. You're going to like that too. I'm telling you, I love doing it. That's right. It's up to 43% off with code RUMOR at mudwtr.com. After you purchase, to ask you how you found them, please support our show and let them know Rumor and Innuendo sent you. And finally, for you guys around my age, let's talk a little bit about Mars Men. Mars Men, if you're feeling a little bit, I'm 40, okay? Don't like admitting it, but I'm 40, gonna be 41 here in just over a month. And I don't feel 40, but sometimes I understand that I'm 40. And like there could be like sometimes where I'm a little tired, a little out of it, everything like that. Uh, and the T might be a little lower as you get older. It kind of dissipates a little bit. And so something that could potentially help you out in a very natural way is Mars Men. That's what their specialty is here. And so for a limited time, our listeners can get 50% off for life plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. That's mengotomars.com for 50% off and 3 free gifts when you check out. And it's also available on Amazon. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that River and Innuendo sent you. All right. So there we go. There's our sponsorships for today. I nailed them all. Hi. By Jai, by Ju, by Joy. Thank you for tuning in, man, or ma'am, whichever you may be. Thank you. What is this, WrestleMania? I know the ad drops going in like crazy. I know. I'm so used to not. I have to get in tune with doing ad reads more. Delete says, why don't you like it? Why don't I like what? Are you behind on the show? Explain. Delete on X. Russ Nolan says, I'm almost 41. I feel youthful everywhere but my knees. I have Terry Funk ECW knees. LOL. Okay, so we're the same age. So how about that? I met somebody actually at this establishment born on the same exact day I was. Same exact year. I think I'm like 5 hours younger than her potentially. Or maybe she's 2 hours older than me. I don't remember what time I was born on June 2nd, 1985. Same day as Lex Luger. Dre Owens is past 41. It's all right. Listen, I really I always in my head, I feel like I'm 28 years old. Blessed to feel that. But yes. Devin Dowling says, I coach Little League and it started 2 weeks ago. I had practice last night, could barely move my arm today. 28, but feel 48. Oh, man. You're 28, Devin? Jeez. Do a lot of stretching, do a lot of yoga. But when I was 28, I did a lot of DDP yoga. I legitimately did. Feel great. Just keep your body in motion. Keep your body in motion. One of Breeze says he's 39, feeling young until I injured my shoulder. I know the shoulder is something you have to be careful with. I mean, that's where a great source of injuries can come from. And even going weightlifting and stuff like that, got to be cognizant of how you're doing it and how much weight you're using. I always try to use light weights. Literally, I do 10 pounds, of the shoulder stuff here, and I feel you can feel it. You can definitely feel it. And that's just 10 pounds. Gray Owens subscribes to it too. DDPY works really well. It really does. It's dynamic resistance. It's great stuff. I do recommend it. I really do. Wow. Look at this. Tony Gong lost 50 pounds with DDP yoga. Holy smokes. How about that? Fun story. DDP, I bought DDP yoga in 2012. It was. And I worked at the Franklin Fountain in Philadelphia, ice cream shop. And I was on break. And I remember buying a sandwich or some food for break at the little bodega that's across the street from there. And I was getting a phone call. Or no, I missed a phone call. That's what it was. I missed a phone call. Here, I had a voicemail, and it was Diamond Dallas Page. This is in 2012, okay? And I legitimately listened to the voicemail. He's like, Dom, bro, this is Diamond Dallas Page. Just wanted to call, see how you're doing on DDP yoga. He's like, we'll get to work, monkey. All that kind of stuff. I marked out pretty good. It was great. And I certainly recommend DDPY for anybody that does it. So there we go. Free ad read for DDPY. All right. Let's preview SmackDown. I have no idea what's going on. I do know this one thing that's going on that Robert and I talked about. Ricky Saints is set to debut tonight on SmackDown, and Cody Rhodes had some things to say about that. Yes, air live from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Advertising appearances from Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, Tiffany Stratton, Jake Cargill, Jacob Fatu, Chelsea Green, and Cody Rhodes. Ricky Saints is also set to make his SmackDown debut this Friday. Saints had his final match against Shiloh Hill this past Tuesday. He lost, cut emotional farewell promo. Saints later took to X to encourage fans to get their tickets for SmackDown. The post drew a response from Cody, who referenced Saints' emotional promo with a lighthearted jab before expressing his excitement for the debut. Crybaby Ricky, gonna do something or what? Pumped for you. Wrote and included a gift of Nicolas Cage featuring the message, all these feelings hitting me at once. I don't know what movie that's from with Nicolas Cage, but that's what tweeted out. Robert and I talked about how to utilize Ricky Saints and how he thought Ricky would get lost in the shuffle. Doesn't see potential too much in Ricky being a top star. I disagree. I think there is a level that Ricky Saints can hit. I saw it in way back in NWA and just how he presented himself. That's how he got on Cody Rhodes' radar, was the promos that he did, vignettes he did for NWA. And I think if you put Ricky Saints in that mix right against Cody Rhodes, I think there's nothing wrong with that. And I think you can utilize that, and Ricky can make the most of it. Give him the opportunity to sink or swim. I think that's what any talent wants to have. So, and fresh face on television that ardent fans are aware of in the past that Ricky and Cody has had, don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's something you should actually try to utilize and play into. And if Ricky can showcase himself in the manner that expands himself to newer fans, and people can either love him or hate him in a very passionate manner, then give him this opportunity to do it. So I hope it happens. I hope it happens. Let's see what is on tap for SmackDown before I close on out. Let's see. Hey, while I'm looking here, go to rvdtv.com. I have highlights, ringside highlights of Rob Van Dam's JCW debut. That's right, I was ringside for his match at Stranglemania. He was in that triple tag match, and he teamed up with Willie Mack and Too Tough Tony against the Good Brothers and Kenta. And yes, Kenta got a busted nose courtesy of RVD. But you can check out the match highlights right now on rvdtv.com. So go and check that out, and check out the new episode that Rob and I did with Katie and the babies too. They were on there as well. So really fun episode. We talk about Vince McMahon. We talk about a whole bunch of other great topics. So go to rvdtv.com, hit like, hit subscribe, and help out the show and stuff like that. While Devin asked that question, is Ricky going to replace LA Knight as Robert's new favorite wrestler? I don't know. I think LA Knight has stole Robert's heart. Cammy Star, too many call-ups at once. I agree with you, Cammy. I do. It's a lot of call-ups, and you don't want people to get lost in the shuffle. And like WWE has shown that they're not great at handling that, and AEW has done the same thing too. Devin substantiates what I say. Ricky's a star on the mic. Robert was whacked for saying he'll be nothing big. I'm with you. I think Ricky has a lot of potential. He's got a great look. He's great on the mic. He doesn't talk like The Rock, even though people relate him to The Rock. I think he just needs the opportunity. Ricky's one of two people to actually own MJF in a promo. Interesting. I don't remember that. I need to check that out. So yeah. All right, let's see what else is on for SmackDown here. It's courtesy of Jason Powell, ProWrestling.net. Love Jason Powell. We have champion Cody Rhodes. He's set to open the show. Ricky Saints is debuting. Charlotte Flair is taking on JC Jane. That should be a good matchup. And Jacob Fatu is set to appear. So that's what's on tap for tonight. So yeah, good stuff. Devin says, because you don't watch Collision. So it happened on Collision. Yeah, if it happened on Collision, I didn't see it. Dre Owen says, Ricky Saints, new U.S. champ. Who's the current U.S. champ? Oh, Trick Williams. I hope that doesn't happen. I'm telling you, if you want to position Ricky Saints in the right light, put him right in the main event picture. And with Cody Rhodes. Because Cody doesn't have a dance partner right now, right? Why not just give it to Ricky Saints? See what happens. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does, great. And this has been great, talking with all of you for nearly 50 minutes. So appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll be back on Monday to talk a plethora of topics on a plethora of channels, including Studio1Sports.com. Be sure to go to that channel, start watching it there. Do all the chat discourse in there, and help out the show, okay? Because eventually I want to move away from all the other channels, the Rumor and Innuendo channel, the Oh You Didn't Know YouTube channel, and I just want to solely be on Studio1Sports.com with everybody in the chat here tuning in and chiming in on there, because that's where I can grow this thing. I can't grow it on the other channels. I just can't. I don't have access to them. So soon I'll be doing away with those. I just got to make their time right to do it and make sure it happens. But we're also on Studio One Sports on X. We're on at my account at Dominic D'Angelo on X. We're at WCreative_ish on X, and we're at SE Scoops on X. So Devin will go to Studio1Sports.com next week to tune in. Lou has a funny comment that I won't share, but it is a funny comment. So I see it. That's funny. That is good. So there we go. Good to see you guys, and I will see you next time here on Rumor and Innuendo. Best of luck in your future endeavors. And hey, Bruno is Uno. Shh.